Do y'all ever wake up and just feel like you're living the same day over and over again? Not in like some depressing kind of way, but in like a low-key quiet way. Like you wake up or you check your phone, you go to work or school, maybe the gym, eat something quick, scroll for a couple hours, and you go to bed. Then you wake up and just do it all over again. And nothing's wrong, inherently at least. You're hitting your marks, you're doing what's expected. But somewhere in the middle of all this, you feel like something's off. Like you're doing a ton, but you're not really living it all. And that's autopilot. Autopilot is when you're technically alive, but you're not really there. You're running patterns that you didn't choose, routines that you didn't think through, doing things because that's just what you do. And the crazy part is that it feels normal. It feels like life because everyone around us is doing it as well. You wake up at the same time, you drive the same route, you do your job the same way, you chase goals because they sound good, or because someone said you should, but at no point do you stop and ask, why am I doing this? Why do I want this job? Why am I pushing towards this goal? Why am I living this way at all? Most people don't ask that question, and that's where the emptiness comes from. See, autopilot tricks you. It tells you you're busy, you're productive, you're making progress. But progress towards what? That's the part that never gets answered. It's like being on a treadmill. You're sweating, you're working, but when you step off, you're in the exact same spot. You look back at the week, the month, the year, and it's just all a blur because nothing was done with intention. And it's not always obvious right away. Sometimes it takes something big to wake you up, like losing a job, ending a relationship, some random moment where you realize, I don't even like the life that I've built. It can hit at the strangest times too, like you're sitting in traffic and you suddenly think, where am I even going? Or you're at the gym and you realize you're not training for anything, you're just checking a box. Or you're scrolling at night like we all do when you feel that emptiness creep in. Like, man, is this really it? And that's just autopilot whispering. And the hardest part is that most of what we do isn't even chosen by us. We just inherited it. Our career path was suggested by parents, teachers, or because it just felt like it made sense back then. Or our social life is built around people we just ended up being around. Even things we chase, whether it's money, cars, status, followers, half the time we don't even know why we want them. They just look like things that we're supposed to want. So we chase them and we hit milestones, and for a day or two it feels good. But then just back to empty because it wasn't really about what mattered to us. It was just about chasing something, anything. And here's where it gets scary. Autopilot feels safe. It's predictable. You don't have to stop and face uncomfortable questions like, what if I'm living the wrong life? Or what if the stuff I'm working for doesn't even matter to me? What if I'm supposed to be doing something completely different? Those are heavy questions, and that's why most people avoid them. They keep busy and they keep moving and they call it life. But deep down, it feels like survival. It feels like coasting. You're alive, but you're not really awake to anything. And the first step out of it isn't some big dramatic thing like quitting your job or moving to another country. It's way simpler, and it's simply just noticing it. Noticing when you're doing something out of habit versus out of choice. Noticing when you say yes to things that drain you versus the rare times something actually makes you feel alive. It can be as small as catching yourself at work asking, why am I grinding so hard for this project? Do I actually care about it, or am I just scared of falling behind? It can be as simple as pausing mid-scroll at night and asking, what am I even looking at? Am I bored? Am I lonely? Am I just running from thinking about my life? Little questions like that can change everything because once you notice, you can't unnotice it. You start catching yourself in the act. You start feeling the difference between living on autopilot and living awake. And here's the thing, is that it's not about figuring everything out today. It's about waking up enough to realize that life's too short to sleepwalk through. You don't have to have a perfect plan. You don't need to know your ultimate purpose. You just need to start paying attention to what actually feels like you and what doesn't. Because the second you do that, life stops feeling like a blur. It starts to feel real again. And that's where the living actually begins. But if most people are running on autopilot, the next question is, how do we actually get out of it? And I'm not going to sit here and act like I've got it all figured out. I'm in the same boat as everyone else, trying to wake up a little more each day, trying not to drift through life. But I think there are small things that we can do together that make a big difference. And as I said, the first thing is to admit it's happening. Not in a depressing way, but in a real way. Like, okay, maybe I've just been going through the motions. Maybe I haven't been asking why I do what I do. And that's not failure, it's just awareness. And awareness is where everything starts. Because once you admit it, you can start experimenting. And I think that's the key, is to treat it like an experiment, not a life overhaul. There's no pressure to figure everything out at once. Just start testing what actually makes life feel alive again. Start with one thing that feels off. Maybe it's your routine, maybe it's how you spend your evenings, maybe it's the fact you haven't done something new in a long time. Pick one thing, not 10, and ask, what would happen if I tried something different here? It doesn't have to be big. It could be like if you always scroll at night, replace one night with a walk or a book or just sitting outside. If your workouts feel robotic, try a new style of training or a completely different activity for one day. If work feels draining, see if you can change how you approach it. Add creativity, talk to new people, or just learn one skill that makes it a bit more interesting. Tiny shifts wake you up and they remind you that there are other ways to live, even if you don't exactly know what those ways are yet. And we can also learn to do things for the experience and not just the result. Autopilot is all about results, whether it's finish the task, hit the goal, check the box. But sometimes the best moments in life don't come with the scoreboard. So try something where there's nothing to win. No next level, no gold star, just the experience itself. Cook a meal from scratch, not to be a master chef, but because it feels good to make something. Start journaling, not to become a writer, but just to see what thoughts come out. The point isn't to be good, the point is to feel like you're actually living. Also, focus on asking better questions. Earlier we talked about noticing what's on autopilot, and now it's actually about asking deeper questions, but in a way that feels natural and not heavy. Stuff like, what's one thing I'd regret not trying in the next 5 years? Or when do I feel most like myself, and why don't I do that more often? Or if I stopped worrying what people thought, what would I do differently tomorrow? You don't have to answer perfectly. Sometimes just asking wakes up parts of you that have been quiet for a long time. And we also need to learn how to have more moments of presence. This sounds cliche, but I don't mean it in a meditate for 3 hours kind of way. I just mean small things that snap you into now. When you're talking to someone, focus on actually listening. When you're walking somewhere, notice what's around you instead of just looking at your phone. These moments don't change your whole life, but they build awareness. Awareness that reminds you of, oh yeah, I'm actually here and I'm actually alive. And one of the fastest ways to realize that you're on autopilot is to do something totally outside your routine. And it doesn't have to be extreme. It could just be something stupid like taking a different route to work, or saying yes to something you usually turn down, or spending time with people you don't normally hang out with. It's not whether it becomes a habit, it's about seeing how easily we fall into loops and how good it feels to step out of them, even for a second. And the last thing that is hard for a lot of people is just learning to be okay with not knowing yet. And that might be the most important thing, is breaking out of autopilot isn't just about finding your grand purpose overnight. It's about staying curious and about being okay with saying, I don't know where this leads, but I'd like to find out. Because maybe life isn't about solving everything right now, and maybe it's actually about waking up enough to live it. And really live it as it happens. And that's the thing. You don't need a perfect roadmap. You don't need to know your final destination. You just need to stop living asleep and start noticing what makes you feel awake. And we can figure out the rest along the way.